Welcome back, coaches. Welcome back on this Taco Tuesday. I hope everybody had a good July the 4th. This episode should be airing on the 7th of July. Welcome back. Hope everybody had a good 4th of July holiday weekend. We're going to be talking about, we're wrapping up our Wing T Deep Dive series. I want to say before we get started, make sure if you want to subscribe to the only YouTube channel dedicated solely to offensive line play, make sure you subscribe to Bigs Rule the World. Now, let's get into it. I hope you all have had fun. I know I have when talking about offensive line play in the Wing T. Talking about specifically, we've gone over the base plays of the Wing T. We've gone over what makes a Wing T offensive lineman. And I think I've had a lot of fun with it. I hope you all have enjoyed our series on it. And, I want to do more series like this. Coaches, tell me in the comments, tell me on Twitter, @football_Allen, what you want to see more on this channel. Now, you may be thinking to yourself after doing this Wing T stuff. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm not a full Wing T guy. Still am not, even after doing this breakdown. But I am much more willing to say that the Wing T has its merits, and it has a lot of good stuff that I think you can take and use in your offense. And I think you can spice up your offense with Wing T principles. I don't think it is a offense that, I think it gets a bad rap. Along with other wing-based offenses, is sort of being outdated, which I don't think it is. I think you can spice it up. Now, some of you may be thinking, because I know what it's like to be a young coach. I'm still under 30, so I guess I can't really call other people young coaches, but I'm entering my 11th season coaching. And you may be thinking to yourself that a complete shift in the Wing T is necessary. When I first started getting into coaching, that's what I always thought, if I saw something new, that's what I wanted to do. I needed to completely change everything what I was doing. Being a guy who completely shifted his offense from a spread-based run game, almost a double slot-based run game, to the air raid, I'm going to tell you right now, you may be thinking a complete shift is necessary. It might be. But trying to take a successful program, let's say you run the air raid offense, for example, and you want to turn things around. Let's say you have a semi-successful program, you're a playoff team, and you want to take the next step. And you might be thinking to yourself as a spread or air raid offense, I want to take everything and turn it around with the Wing T. Whoa, Jack. I think you've gone a little bit too far there. Instead of leaving your old offense out in the cold, there are ways where you can make adjustments and have principles to fit your offense. And that's what I want to talk about today. First idea is we have to understand the idea of the Wing T. What are the major principles? Okay, I'm going to flip you to my whiteboard here. Side note, I love the new webcam. I hope it is looking great for you all at home. But Lord, trying to get this thing set up, I probably paused that sucker for 5 minutes just to get the webcam set up, and it moves ever so slightly to take off my whiteboard. It just depends on the day of the week. Now, principles of the Wing T. What you need to know, okay? The idea of deception, down blocks, and the idea of the series. Okay, now, what does this mean? These are my 3 core tenets of the Wing T and what you can develop. Well, deception means, you're confusing about where the ball is going. I don't think you necessarily have to, when we're talking about deception in a play, have to, put in wing T plays per se. You know, you can put in some of the ones we talked about with your crisscross, your counters, stuff like that. One of the things I think it is underrated. One of the things I think that is underrated when it comes down to the wing T is how we do counter or how we do counters out of it. Or this sort of goes for your 10 personnel offense. We didn't have a true running quarterback, but we were able to run him enough where our power scheme now became his counter scheme right here. That's what we would call 16G. We're able to do that and sort of deceive where the ball's going. Okay. Then you want the idea of down blocks, the idea of a series. I kind of want to get in these two together because one of the things that I think we did, okay, I'm going to get into a little bit of what I've done personally. That sort of incorporates your wing T, and I think you can do this at a 10. You can do it at a 20. Again, here we go again. You feeling on a ship. Some of the stuff we did at a 10 and 20 personnel. So if we're taking a look at 10 right here, okay, I'm going to give us a 4-3 look. Actually, we'll make it 4-2 to start out. I'm assuming you're going to cover my slot. Okay. So some of the things that we did just to make everything look the same, we ran our inside zone reading the play side defender. Because what does it look like? Well, we can get all these down blocks right here and read off of him, which again opens up our RPO game. Or go back erasing, go back erasing. All right, let's say I want to run power out of it. I created a power game where we can cut back. I created a power game where we can have the quarterback counter. And look, we're all down blocking, and we can kick. I like to kick to the side of the 3 technique, though. So you're teaching your defensive ends to play both zone read, or play inside zone read, and play power, and you may not know where it's coming from. And I'm going to tell you that's not going to be very successful for a defender because you have to play that thing 2 different ways. And you love for the defender to be wrong. That's what one of the things about the Wing T series that is awesome is you can diagnose what you need to run based on who makes the tackle. I could do the same thing in our running game based on what we're doing and what that D end is doing. Out of 20, okay, you want to talk about deception. Some of the stuff we used to run out of 20 personnel, okay, let's say we have, let's say they give us an underlook. All right. All right. I used to love, we're going to sell option right here. I got this from Buckingham, so I can't say, you know, I came up with it on my own. But again, look at the down blocks. We're going to cut him off right there. Okay. We're selling option. This end now has to respect option. He's attacking. We're just going to do a little inside handoff to the H-back right there. Our guard's going to kick, and there we go. That's what we used to call 36G out of 20 personnel. You like your crisscross stuff? We did this out of 20 personnel too. Okay, so quick story. We won a game on 4th and goal from the 1. I'm going to be sure to get that up to y'all on Twitter to play if I can. We had 4th and goal from the 1, and we needed to score to win the ball game. It was in overtime. We were down 6. So what we did, my tailback was about a 230-pound white kid. This is my middle linebacker, about a 230-pound white kid. They looked the same. We had an athlete at quarterback at the time. We sold jet motion. We deceived them. We'd run quarterback sweep a bunch that game. You know, we're coming here. We're coming here. We're catching the quarterback sweep. It looks like student body right. We snapped the ball to the tailback, and he walked in untouched. We enjoyed that type of stuff. That's sort of some single wing type stuff. Really, if you want to think about it, we just wedge blocked him. So what ended up happening, people started noticing whenever we would go to sniffer with our big old tailbacks, that it was pretty freaking obvious what we were going to do. So then we did this, I guess you could call that 30 personnel, really. But we'd have that slide in sometimes we'd have them out. But now I can snap directly. We ran this in a game, we ran super power with double power, everybody blocked down, boom, boom, boom. Snap to the quarterback. We could have them pull the other way, hand to the Y back. Or here's your old crisscross action. We actually had them snap to the tailback. He blocks down, he kicks out like down. Reach over, and he's going to go, and he's going to hand back to the H-back right there. We had all that series in. What's it to say? It doesn't take completely getting rid of your offense to adapt some wing T principles like deception, like coming up with series of plays, and like the art of the down block. I'm going to talk sort of what the main adaptation to the wing T is to put you in pistol. A lot of wing T teams, I've talked about the double slide. I've talked about double slide out of the pistol. I've talked about traditional wing T out of the pistol. All of that, and you can adapt and run it. I suggest you do it based on your personnel. I've talked about Goochland High School at Depth here during this series. They're a little school out near Richmond, Virginia. And, you know, a lot of years when I first started playing them, they were true under center double slot. And then they got a quarterback by the name of Jordan Jefferson, who I think ended up walking on at Virginia Tech. Big deal when you're a 1A, 2A school and you're getting kids going to Virginia Tech. So they put him in at quarterback. And then they had a tight end who ended up scholarship middle linebacker to Eastern Michigan University. And he ended up being a big tight end for them. So now they're in the gun. And then after Jefferson, major athlete who they could have in the gun, and now they're having him as a run threat. Then after Jefferson, they have a kid named Reed Chenault, major passing threat, which I think the gun and the pistol still helped out with. Now, you lose some stuff when it comes down to the pistol that I want to talk about, and we're going to go back to the whiteboard for that. Some of the things you lose on the pistol, I think if you're looking at your belly and your down series and your trap series. Okay, what hits well here with the down? Okay, it's going to be quick. We're here, kicking, folding. Okay, I want to talk about the backside real quick to this play. I've been talking about, I don't know how much I fell in love with the down block. I don't know how much I fell in love with the down play. I probably fell in love with down more than any other during this whole deep dive. And I've been trying to think of how the hell could I run it out of the gun? Well, here's the issue. How do you get to that backside linebacker? Up here, it's almost kind of like if you've ever seen a good veer team when they run inside veer, they don't need to block this backside of the line because the play hits so quickly. So they're up on the second level already. How do you get to that second level so quickly on down? Or how about, let's take a look at it. Let's Erase my guys. Let's say we want to run trap. Now I've shown you, I think you can run trap out of the gun in a normal one back offense. Okay, here, boom, footwork. Footwork's actually going to stem in here. Okay. So with trap, it's hitting so fast for us, especially fullback trap out of the wing T. It's quick, boom, boom, and there we go. It hits so fast, I'm going to be honest, that backside defense spin's not going to do anything. It's going to be very, very quick. We had problems out of 10 personnel when we tried to run tailback trap. I did a lot with quarterback trap. You know, when I was at Buckingham, we were able to run trap better than we were at Chat. It's a quicker, you're trying to get a quick block off and run inside, and I think you lose some of it by backing up to the gun. And then, of course, in the wing T, if you really want to get into it and run the option series and all that, it becomes difficult. Now, positives out of the pistol, I think in your sweep series, you can now read it better. And you can get the ball, you can now potentially run like power read, power sweep type of things. And it'll look good. Now, negatives, I think, you're starting 4 yards back. 3-4 yards back on the handoff. I love speed sweep out of the wing T, and I think it could really get you something somewhere real quick. I think buck sweep's a good play too out of it. But you just got to understand where you're starting with your guys. The other thing, and the last thing I want to talk about is, and this is what I really think is the beauty of the wing T and the beauty of the main principles, the 3 main principles we talked about, which again were the idea of series, the idea of down blocks, the idea of deception, is how cheap is it to put in, okay? Let's be honest here, guys. We're dealing with coronavirus all over the country. You're having to adjust to how you install. You're having to adjust how you put in stuff. You're having to adjust what types of offense you want to run. And you got to see what's expensive. For me, I talked about this some on my first video back before we did the wing T deep dive, one blocking scheme to save your run game. It's easier if you can get the down block and if you can get everything going in one direction as far as run game goes with blocking scheme. If you're going to be installing a ton of different blocking schemes, it's not going to be the right fit for you. Pick and choose little bits of things that can work with your personnel and work with your offense. I've seen too many guys want to do a wholesale change when they can just pick a little bit and influence their offense, okay? What would I call my offense? The old, my personal offense, the bastardization offense. Okay, and what's the mean by that? I think a lot of guys get into handpicking plays and crap. Don't do that. I've met guys who, every play they pick, if they see a fun play on Saturday or Sunday, they're going to take that play. I don't like that. That doesn't create an offense. Your bastardization offense should mend together seamlessly so everything flows off of one another, just like I talked about with our power and inside zone game from Chatham, mending together, and that blends together to our RPO game, and the passing game complements the run game. That's what you really got to think about. Don't get thinking about plays, think about scheme and how everything relates in sort of an ecosystem. Ron Mackey talks about it all the time. Stay simple. Okay, that's why the wing T is a great offense. It's simple. It's easy, it's adaptable, and it has answers. You can create that within your offense. Just don't be bringing these 150-page playbooks to high school kids. All right? Coaches, I've had fun. I talked about it. I've enjoyed this wing T deep dive. It's taken me back into my playing days a little bit. And I've learned some stuff that I want to adapt for how I coach and how I go about offense. Next time we're going to be talking We're going to get back into sort of this series type stuff later. I'm going to take a few episodes to do some coaching type things for our offensive line. And I hope you'll stay tuned for that, even though it's not 100% wing T related. I think it's adaptable to the wing T. Our next episode, we're actually going to talk about why all offensive coordinators should coach offensive line. I think a lot of you O-line coaches out there would agree. But until then, coaches, remember, if you want to score big and put tons of points up on the board and win games, you got to dominate in the trenches. And to dominate in the trenches, you have to know that bigs rule the world. Thanks, coaches.